I'm Elanor, his 68-year-old mother. I'm the one who raised him alone, and for years, I made excuses for my son's drinking for his endless, grasping need for money. But when I finally said no, he didn't just rage. He beat me, and he ripped my late husband's wedding ring from my very finger. My boy had become an alcoholic thug. And I faced the most heartbreaking choice a mother can make: protect myself or protect the monster he'd become. This is how I chose. Before I begin my story, I just want to say thank you for listening as I pour my heart out. It means more than you know. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is where you are. I love hearing from you. My little house on Palmer Street used to be filled with such laughter. Robert, my dear late husband, had a laugh that could shake the very foundations, a deep, booming sound that wrapped around you like the warmest blanket. He's been gone 10 years now, and the silence he left behind has a way of amplifying other, less welcome noises. The creak of the floorboards in the empty upstairs bedroom, the drip of a faucet I keep meaning to get fixed, and most persistently, the anxious thrumming of my own heart whenever the phone rings on a Friday afternoon. Fridays are usually when Tony calls, if he calls at all. Tony, my Anthony, my son. 42 years old now, a man grown. Yet sometimes when I look at him, I still see the bright-eyed boy who used to collect G.I. Joe figures and dream of being an astronaut. Where did that boy go? The man who visits me now, his visits as rare and fleeting as a winter butterfly, carries a different kind of energy. A coiled, restless tension. And a scent that's become achingly familiar. It's the sour-sweet tang of stale liquor clinging to his clothes, sometimes faint, sometimes strong enough to make my eyes water, even when he tries to mask it with cheap cologne. His alcoholism, for I could no longer deny it that name, not even in the privacy of my own worried thoughts, had become a greedy shadow, consuming him, and by extension, consuming me. His visits, once a source of joy after Robert passed, had devolved into a painful, predictable charade. He'd arrive with a flurry of forced charm, a quick, distracted hug, his eyes often bloodshot, even in the morning, darting around the living room as if he were casing the joint. He'd ask perfunctory questions about my health, my garden, his attention clearly elsewhere. Then inevitably would come the real reason for his presence. "Mom," he'd begin, his voice a carefully constructed blend of urgency and casualness. "Things are a bit tight this month. Just a little short on the car payment. You know how it is. Or this incredible investment opportunity came up, Mama. A sure thing, but I need to get in on the ground floor and I'm just a few hundred shy. Or increasingly just a blunt, I need some cash, Mom. 500. Can you help me out?" And I, Elanor Vance, the woman who had faced down life's storms with what I'd always thought was a decent measure of strength, would find myself reaching for my purse. My savings, the modest nest egg Robert and I had so carefully built, had been steadily dwindling, each withdrawal a small, painful surrender. I knew deep down I was enabling him. I knew the money wasn't going to car payments or sure-thing investments. It was vanishing into the same black hole that was swallowing my son, the one that left him with trembling hands in the morning and that desperate, hunted look in his eyes. I tried talking to him, of course. So many times. "Tony, honey," I'd say, my voice gentle, trying to keep the tremor of fear out of it. "Are you all right? You seem stressed. Maybe you should see someone. Talk about what's bothering you." His reaction was always the same. A flash of anger, a defensive denial. "I'm fine, Mom." God, can't a guy have a little stress without his mother turning it into a federal case? "I just need a bit of help, that's all. Are you going to help me or not?" The amounts he requested grew larger, his visits shorter, his charm more transparently false. The loving son was disappearing, replaced by a desperate, manipulative stranger who wore his face. I felt like an ATM, a means to an end. What would happen when the money finally ran out? I saw the way he looked at my wedding ring sometimes, the one Robert had slipped on my finger nearly 50 years ago. His eyes lingering on the small, perfect diamond. I'd started hiding my purse when I knew he was coming, a small, shameful act that spoke volumes about the state of our relationship. Robert's words from long ago haunted me. "You're too soft on him, Ellie," he had said, his voice kind but firm. "He needs to learn the weight of his own choices." Had my softness, my unwavering maternal desire to shield my son from pain, paved the way for this monster of addiction to take root? I knew with a chilling certainty that settled deep in my bones that a confrontation was coming. A day when my no would finally have to be absolute. And I was terrified of what that day might bring. March 12th. It was the 10th anniversary of Robert's passing. I'd planned a quiet dinner just for me and Tony. He promised to be there. "Wouldn't miss it, Mom," he'd said. A tiny, hopeful bird had taken flight in my chest. That bird crashed and burned around 7 that evening. Tony finally stumbled through the front door 2 hours late, not with flowers or a word of remembrance for his father, but with the reek of cheap whiskey clinging to him like a shroud. He didn't look at Robert's portrait on the mantelpiece. He didn't seem to register the single lit candle beside it, my small silent tribute. Drop a red heart in the comments if you've ever eaten dinner alone on a day that was supposed to be special. He picked at the pot roast Robert had loved, his agitation a palpable force in the room. Then it came. "Mom," he began, leaning forward. "I'm in a bit of a jam. A serious one this time. Some guys I owe, it's gotten heavy. I need $5,000. Tonight. $5,000. My heart didn't just sink, it shattered. "Tony," I said, my voice trembling. It's the anniversary of your father's passing, and you come here smelling like a distillery to ask me for $5,000? His eyes hardened. "Oh, here we go," he sneered, his words thick. "The guilt trip. Dad's been gone 10 years, Mom. Life goes on. And my life right now needs $5,000 or things are going to get very ugly for me." "And what about my life, Tony?" A sudden surge of bitterness rose up. "What about the money your father and I saved?" "It's nearly gone, son. Because of your jams, your emergencies that never seem to end." That's when he truly exploded. He lurched to his feet, his face contorted. "For God's sake, Mom," he roared, spittle flying from his lips. "It's just damn money. What else are you going to do with it? Huh? Sit on it until you croak like some miserable old dragon hoarding gold? I'm your son. Your only son. Robert would want me to have it. He wouldn't want you being such a selfish, tight-fisted old hag." He punctuated the last vile word by slamming his fist on the dining table. The air crackled with his rage. He cursed again, blaming me, blaming his dead father, blaming the world for his self-inflicted problems. I sat there frozen, not by fear this time, but by a sudden, deathly calm. He had invoked his father's name to justify this desecration. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about a fundamental absence of love, of respect. The boy I had loved was gone, consumed by the alcoholic thug who stood before me. In that moment of brutal clarity, something inside me didn't just snap. It fractured and then reformed into something hard, cold, and unyielding. I had to change the locks on my life, and he would no longer hold the key. After he stormed out, I knew he would be back. His addiction would drive him, and his rage would be even more terrifying. The thought of facing that alone was unbearable. I couldn't subject my friends to his potential violence. I needed help. My fingers, still unsteady, typed in-home companion services into the search bar. I found a small agency and called, my voice low. I explained vaguely that my son was going through a difficult time and that I sometimes felt nervous when he was due to visit. 2 days later, Chloe Jordan arrived. She was 28, with warm, intelligent eyes and a handshake that was surprisingly firm. There was a quiet capability about her that put me at ease. I explained, omitting the rawest details, that my son had become volatile and that his visits often left me feeling vulnerable. "I've decided, Miss Jordan," I said, my voice gaining strength, "that I can no longer provide that financial assistance, and I am concerned about how he will react." "I understand, Mrs. Vance," she said. "My role would be to provide a calm, supportive presence. We can also discuss a safety plan." A safety plan. The words hung in the air, a stark reminder of what my relationship with my son had become. But Chloe's sensible approach was comforting. She started her visits, and her quiet companionship began to fill some of the lonely spaces in my days. More importantly, her presence began to act as a fragile shield for my resolve. We arranged a signal. If I felt threatened, I would say, "Perhaps Robert's old walking stick is in the hall closet, Chloe," and she would call for help. The storm was coming. I knew it. But this time, I wouldn't face it entirely defenseless. It was a Tuesday when the doorbell rang, sharp and impatient. I nodded grimly to Chloe. "That will be my son." I opened the door. He looked worse than I'd ever seen him, his eyes bloodshot, smelling of desperation. He pushed past me. "Mom," he rasped. "I need money. 2,000. No questions. Just give it to me." This was it. With Chloe a silent, steadfast presence in the corner, I took a deep breath. "Anthony," I said, my voice surprisingly firm. "I can't give you any more money. There isn't any more to give for these emergencies of yours." His face contorted. The rage returned, but this time it was 1,000 times more terrifying. "No more money," he spat, advancing on me. "What the hell do you mean? It's my money too, you old." He let loose a string of curses that made my ears burn. "Tony, please," I said, backing away. Chloe stood up slowly. Mr. Vance, she said, her voice calm. Perhaps you should leave. He whirled on her. And who the hell are you? He roared. My mother's new keeper? Before he could finish, before I could utter our safety phrase, he lunged. Not at Chloe but at me. He shoved me with all his considerable force. I cried out, stumbling backwards, pain shooting up my bad knee. I gripped my walker, the only thing that kept me from crashing to the floor. Chloe rushed forward. Stop it, Mr. Vance. You're hurting her. He turned his rage on her then, swatting her arm away with a vicious backhand. Get out of my way, you little parasite, he screamed, shoving her hard against a bookshelf. Would you let this happen to your own mama? Let me know in the comments. Be honest. The sight of him hurting that kind young woman broke through my fear. Anthony, stop it. I shrieked. You're acting like a madman, a thug. His wild eyes scanned the room and landed on my dressing table on my mother's small antique jewelry box. He strode towards it. No money, huh, Mom? He sneered. We'll just see about that. He snatched the box and dumped its contents on the bed. My few precious pieces. And then he saw it. On my hand. My wedding ring. Robert's ring. He lunged for my hand. I cried out, but he was too strong, his grip like iron. He twisted my fingers, pain lancing up my arm. Give it to me, old woman, he snarled, his face inches from mine, his breath foul. With a brutal yank, he wrenched the ring from my finger. The skin tore and I screamed, a raw sound of agony and violation. He didn't even look at my bleeding hand. He pocketed the ring, scooped up the other jewelry, and fled, the front door slamming behind him like a gunshot. I sank into my chair, cradling my throbbing, bleeding finger. The place where Robert's ring had been was a cold, empty ache. He had beaten me. He had terrorized a young woman. And he had stolen the most sacred symbol of my life with his father. Chloe, bless her, was the first to break the spell. We need to call the police right now, she said gently. And an ambulance for your hand. No, I whispered. Not yet. He took Robert's ring. I still had some foolish hope. I called his phone. I left a tearful message. Please, Tony, it was your father's. Just bring back the ring. I texted him begging. His reply, when it finally came hours later, was a single, chillingly dismissive text. Chill out, Mom. It's just a ring. I needed the cash. Upset my stomach with all your drama. Just a ring. My stomach turned. He'd already sold it. The callousness of it was a deeper wound than my bleeding finger. Then on the fourth day he called. My heart leaped with a desperate, foolish hope. Mom. His voice was gruff, impatient. Tony, I breathed. Did you get it back? Get what back? He snapped. Look, I'm in another bind. Those guys I told you about. I need another 1,000. And don't start with the waterworks this time. Just get it for me. I was so stunned I couldn't speak. After he had assaulted me, terrorized Chloe, stolen the most sacred object I possessed, he had the audacity to call and demand more. No apologies. No remorse. Just that same raw, aggressive entitlement. The last fragile thread of maternal hope finally, irrevocably snapped. My voice, when I finally found it, was cold. Anthony, I said, each word an icicle. There will be no more money. Not now, not ever. Before he could unleash his abuse, I ended the call. I looked at Chloe, my eyes dry, my resolve absolute. Chloe, dear, I said, my voice steady now. I think it's time we paid a visit to the police station. It seems my son needs to learn that actions have consequences. The visit to the station was one of the hardest things I have ever done. I sat before a detective and laid bare my son's alcoholism, his escalating aggression, his final, unrepentant demand for more money. I was reporting my own child for assault, battery, and grand larceny. Each word felt like a betrayal of my motherhood. Yet also, paradoxically, the truest act of love I had left to give him, the brutal love that demands accountability. They arrested him later that day. Hearing the words, he's in custody, brought not triumph, but a wave of gut-wrenching sadness. My son, the baby I had held, was likely heading to a prison cell because of me. But beneath the sorrow, there was also a sliver of peace. The immediate threat was gone. I had finally protected myself. If you think I made the right choice, write mother in the comments. If you think I was wrong, write son. I truly want to know. The police tried to trace Robert's ring, but the trail was cold. It was gone forever. Tony faced the charges. His lawyer tried to paint him as a victim, but Chloe's testimony and the evidence were too strong. The cash flow from me was well and truly severed, not by my refusal alone, but by the bars of the county jail. My life slowly began to find a new scarred rhythm. I changed the locks. The fear receded. My home started to feel like a sanctuary again. There was no joy in Tony's downfall, only a profound sadness for the son I had lost long before I called the police. My act of reporting him wasn't revenge. It was the last, most painful act of a desperate mother trying to stop a runaway train, even if it meant derailing her own heart in the process. My peace is hard-won, paid for with a currency of tears and a mother's broken dreams. But it is peace nonetheless. I am Elanor Vance. I survived. And in choosing to protect myself, in choosing to finally say no more to my alcoholic, thuggish son, I reclaim not just my safety, but myself. And that, I suppose, is its own quiet, resilient kind of truth. Thank you for hearing my story. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like mine deserve to be heard so that other women know they are not alone. And share this with someone who needs a reminder. Silence does not mean weakness.